As I was praying through this message this week, I felt like the Lord wanted to encourage you moms with this point in particular. Because you don't feel like your plans for your home and your intentionality at home are going to benefit your children in any way. I think the Lord wants to encourage you that He's in it. And He's going to strengthen you. And He's going to strengthen His family in it. Proverbs 21:5 says that the plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance. I think the Lord is bringing abundance your way through your planning. But for all of us, we see here that plans are good. God uses them. Paul did it. God used it. But listen, here's the key point that we have to remember. Although we can and although we should plan and be intentional people, that is not where we get our confidence from, is it? That is not where our confidence lies. Why? Because of this. Men can do the planning, but Jesus does the directing. And this is so important for us. And it's so important because though planning and intentionality is a good thing, some of us can be very tempted to plan too much. And we can be tempted to put our hope and our confidence in our plans too much. Some of us have our entire lives mapped out from the age of 10 to the age of 70. This year I'm going to do this. And then when I get to this age, I'm going to get married. And then when this happens, I'm going to have kids. And then when I experience this, I'm going to go over there. I'm going to do this. We have it all mapped out perfectly, which isn't altogether bad. But the problem is life so rarely turns out the way that we think it's going to, right? And when life throws that curveball at us and things change in a way that we weren't expecting, our worlds can get turned upside down. We can be rocked. We can become disillusioned by it all. We can be unsure as to where we're headed and what we are supposed to do. Maybe you're a parent here today, and you're a parent of a teen, and you have thought for so long that your faithful parenting, your intentional parenting, would inevitably bring you a godly, mature, and self-controlled 16-year-old. But today you look at your child and you're seeing them turn away from you and turn away from the Lord. And you're saying, what's happening? I thought I was being intentional. Maybe you're in high school or you're in college and you didn't make the sports team that you thought you were going to make, and you feel like that's a closed door in your life. Maybe you didn't get the scholarship that you wanted. Maybe you're just a young mom and you like to plan your days and runny noses keep getting in the way. Makes sense. Those are all real things. I don't know what it is for you specifically. But whatever it is, we can often have our hopes invested in those things too much. We can put our confidence there and not in God. And when God calls us down a different road, it's a very hard thing. But here's the glorious thing about this text that we're looking at this morning. Specifically in verse 6 through 11, we see this. We see that though Paul was an intentional man, though he planned, though he thought about where he was going and what he was doing, his confidence was not in his own plan. His confidence was in God. His confidence was in another's plan. His confidence was in Jesus. It wasn't in himself and where he was headed. His confidence was in the worldwide Savior and what he was doing through his life. I love in verse 7 how it says very specifically that the Spirit of Jesus did not allow them to go. It says it that way so that you and I can be aware. Jesus is on the move. The worldwide Savior, the one who is spreading the gospel through this world, is aware of where you're at, and he's still actively involved in closing doors and opening doors in your life so that he can direct you to the place that will ultimately bring him the most glory. And brothers and sisters, it is because of this truth that when a door of opportunity in our life that we think should be opened, that we hope is opened, even when it's a good desire, even when it's a good hope, it's this truth that when that door is shut, just like it was for Paul and Silas in verse 6 and 7, even then though, we don't lose hope. We don't lose hope. We don't despair. Why? Because we know Jesus has a better plan for us. Paul's confidence was in Jesus. And his confidence was in that Jesus was going to take him to a place that was better than where he wanted to go. Paul doesn't just throw up his hand and say, you know what, Spirit of Jesus, I'm going to do my own thing today. I want to go into Asia, so I'm going to kind of forget Macedonia. Or if you really want me to go there, I really don't think I'm into that, so I'm going to go back to Antioch and just kind of wait for my door to open up. No, that's not what he does. Rather, he willingly embraces God's direction. Willingly and eagerly. Look at verse 10. It says that when Paul had seen the vision, immediately we sought to go into Macedonia. He's eager for this. He's okay with his plans being changed. He's confident that the Lord is in it, and he's eager to experience all that he has for him, even when it's extremely, extremely difficult. This past week, we were at the pastor's conference, like Jared said, and we heard lots of different testimonies from different pastors. And we heard one from a pastor who serves as a pastor in one of the most violent churches or one of the most violent countries in the world. Last year, they had 350 murders in his city alone. And as he was talking about this and the struggle that it was for them and for their church, he just said something that arrested my heart. This is what he said. He said, though the city dies all around us, the Lord is opening up amazing doors of opportunity to preach the gospel of life to city officials and to leaders. A closed door led him to see the open door. Brothers and sisters, some of you here feel like the city is dying all around you. Some of you really feel like your life is wasting away because you have yet to experience what you so long to experience. But what this passage shows us so clearly is that the closed door in your life, listen, it's not just a closed door. Yes, it is a closed door. Paul wanted to go into Asia, and the Spirit said, no, that's a closed door. But it's not just a closed door. What we see here is that with the closing of a door, another thing opens up. Another door opens up. Brothers and sisters, your God doesn't needlessly close doors in your life to frustrate you or to tempt you or to grow you. That's not who your God is. Your Lord, your King, closes doors in our lives because He only has a better, a greater, a more glorious door to open before you. As Romans 8 says, He's working all things together for good for those who love Him. That's your God. That's what He's doing in your life, even in the difficult times. But the question that this text forces us to ask ourselves this morning is this: are we going to trust God in this? Are we going to trust Him? Are we going to see? Are we going to have our confidence in Him more than in ourselves? I don't know what it is for you. I really don't. Maybe it's unemployment. Maybe it's a desire for ministry that has been delayed. What are you going to do with it? Are you going to bang on the door? Are you going to bang your head against the door, kick it, trying to break it down? Or are you going to trust that the Spirit of Jesus is here? Are you going to have eyes of faith that see that He has a better plan for your life than you ever possibly could have, even when the direction that He takes you is not a comfortable one or an easy one? That's where Paul and Silas were at. It says the Spirit of Jesus did not allow them to go into Asia, and He sent them instead to Philippi. Well, that's exciting. Change of plans, see what the Lord has. And they went to Philippi, and they were just received with open arms, right? Given a warm meal, soft bed. No. They are falsely accused. They are beaten. They are thrown in prison. Talk about a serious letdown. Okay, Paul is thinking, I'm going to Asia. I'm going to preach the gospel. People are going to come to Christ. I'm going to strengthen the church. And then he finds himself landed in prison. That's a big disappointment. I'll tell you right now, if I'm Paul in that circumstance, I'm not a happy dude. All right? I am complaining. I'm whining. I'm frustrated at where I'm at. I'm liking my initial plan a whole lot better than the one that God put me on. And I'm letting everybody around me know it. But that's not what we see here. Because Paul's confidence wasn't in his plan, even when there was pain and sorrow and suffering in his plan. And even when his initial plan wasn't a bad plan, it was a good plan to go into Asia and to preach the gospel. But God had something different. And Paul's confidence is in the fact that Jesus knows best and that his plan is perfect. And look at verse 25. This verse just affects me. Experiencing all that they've just experienced, it says that about midnight, Paul and Silas were praying and singing hymns to God. Their confidence led them, even in the midst of suffering, open wounds, yet to be cleansed. They've just been thrown in prison after a severe beating. They're singing hymns to God. That's confidence in God. Brothers and sisters, we can sing. We can even rejoice in our suffering, wherever we are in life, because our confidence is not in ourselves, it is in God.